My initial dream since I was 5 years old was to go to Broadway musical theater. And I spent my life cultivating an ability to sing and to play instruments, and got myself in to the Eastman School of Music, which I was told was one of the best educations you can get as a musician. So I made some sacrifices, and actually with the help of one of my mentors, Mr. Jim Bain, who ran the band department at Cleveland Heights High School, he let me use his office every single day at lunch to make sure I can find some kind of grants and scholarships, because this lower middle class girl was not going to be going to an Ivy League school without that stuff. So God bless you, Jim. Yeah, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, whatever your dream is, you might as well go after it, because things change. We change. Life changes. You've heard of this pandemic going on. Sometimes you start off in one direction and you wind up in a completely different one, and that's okay. You know, as we go, we find a way of cultivating the things that bring us passion and joy, and getting rid of the things that ultimately don't and make us feel heavy and not purposeful. So yes, Broadway. Came very close to realizing that dream. Unfortunately for me, I was beginning my career the morning of 9/11. That dream did not manifest. I actually wound up homeless for a period of time and trying to get back up on my feet, and Broadway had completely changed after that. So at the advice of a colleague in the film and television industry, I decided to give up on that dream for a while and get in my car and drive across country to Los Angeles and start in TV and film out here and figure it out. And that's what I did. And it was interesting. It's different for this Cleveland girl to find herself in Hollywood, California, and all the macerations that make it what it is. You know, the things that you guys see on TV and the news that you hear about the industry, take it with a grain of salt. You know, some of the weirdness is 100% true. Some of the weirdness is not weird enough in the news. But I established myself, and then, you know, we've had issues in this industry as well. We've had a writer's strike, which completely shut down the industry. I think back in late 2007, that was right on top of when I was getting my big break, and NBC had network approved me. So that was a good thing. That's what you want as an actor. Got set right back to zero all over again. Had to rebuild for the second time in my career. It brought me into stunts. I was already training with stunt professionals and a huge fan of athleticism. I've been an athlete my whole life. So opportunity came and I was ready for it. I got to double an actress who had the same skill sets that I did and the same look that I did. And I just kept on with both. And that's where I've been for the past several years. So it's an interesting profession. I don't know how many of you that are on the call today have an interest in TV and film, journalism, any of those things. I would love to answer your questions more than just blab on about myself. That is such a good question. So this is getting to that what's the secret of life and longevity type of area here. I'll let you know, I am stubborn to a fault, and I have been blessed with some God-given talents that bring me so much joy. I feel like abandoning that mission, that goal in my life would be a disservice in a lot of ways. You know, you get these gifts for reasons, you have them for reasons. You don't really know how you're going to use them, but for me, I love my career. I love my job. With 9/11, I didn't have a choice. You know, you can spend 15 years training to do something, and these world events happen and set you back. It's not your fault. You can't get mad about it because I'm still here. I'm still okay. So in a way, it was a blessing, and it brought me out to TV and film, which I never would have thought of. You know, and I love what we do. I love storytelling. I love telling your stories. You know, stepping into somebody's shoes who I otherwise may not have been able to see eye to eye because of our different perspectives and our backgrounds, and telling stories. So I guess the motivation would just be blind faith in my ability and stubborn relentlessness just not to stop. You know? I hope that answers your question. I wanted to be a musician real bad. I wanted to sing and perform on Broadway. So for me, I wanted to get the best education that I possibly could. I applied to Eastman, I applied to Juilliard, I even applied to Cincy and Baldwin-Wallace. Baldwin-Wallace had offered me a full ride, but they didn't have the best education for what I wanted to do. So I just made sure I found a way. I got grants and scholarships and somehow got myself into that school. And believe me, I was reminded almost daily that I was not favored, that I wasn't an alumni favorite, that my family was never going to be a benefactor to the school, but I was getting a fantastic education. So for me, it was worth it. It was hard. It was really hard, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that education. Well, I'll say right off the bat, our public school, I can't say this for every public school, but our Tiger Nation was phenomenal in the way that not only were the teachers that I met over the 4 years, my course of education there, just spot on their desire to want to educate and not just tell you, but enable you to find your own voice. But we had everything. If you wanted to be in band, you could be in band. If you wanted theater, you could do theater. If you wanted shop, we had shop back then. We had so many ways of discovering who you are, cultivating some skills, figuring out what you liked, what you didn't like in life. It was awesome. And better than that, so diverse. Like my class, we had everything, all walks of life, with income, ethnic background, belief systems. It was just an amalgamation of everything that you want in life. So for me, people's people, you know, it's just the thing that our spark inside of us, which makes us different. And that's the best part. In terms of personal, I was a bit of a loner at Heights High School because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And, you know, music geek here. Carmen's smiling. She probably knows. I was a music geek. I pretty much kept to myself. At lunchtime, I wasn't in the lunchroom. I was in the band room. I was practicing. I was, you know, trying to find programs for the weekend. On the weekend, I had a job and I had rehearsals all the time. So connecting with other people, man, I was a person that everybody knew and everybody loved, but I just didn't have a group. I didn't hang out with like people in the after hours. So I was kind of lonely. I was looking forward to graduating and just starting my life, you know, just getting out there and doing it. But man, we had cool people. We had cool people doing cool things. Heights was the best thing about Heights. Honestly, I can't reiterate this enough. I don't know what it's like now. I'm not graduating with you guys, and I'd love to see your perspective and come back and see the school the way it is now. But we had phenomenal teachers. I had mentors when I was at Heights High School. Teachers that genuinely looked past just this is my classroom to these are the individuals in my classroom. How do I help facilitate their passions, their dreams? How do I help enable the things that spark creativity and joy inside of them to help them become the person that they want to be, not what I want them to be or what society thinks they should be. And I just can't reiterate that enough. That and just having so many different kinds of opportunities, so many sports, so many creative ways to express yourself and get involved and communicate with one another. You guys are a family. You'll always be a family. You know, every time I meet someone from Heights, I'm like, I figured, you know, it's amazing. We're part of something special. I hope you guys feel that way. And if there's something you want to share with me about your experience at Heights High School, I would love to hear it. 17 years ago, I really didn't have a plan. I didn't know anybody in the industry. I didn't really know how it worked. I wound up living in a complex where people were working in the industry. One of my girlfriends was a second, which is a second assistant director. And she said, well, you know, the gateway to getting into acting and film out here is to do something called background work. And I registered myself with a group that does background placement. And I was that hungry girl. I called every day to make sure I was working on some show every single day until I earned my SAG card. And every single time I worked on a show, I wouldn't be sitting and holding. I'd be right behind Video Village, which is where the director, the producers, the writer are. They're looking at the monitors, seeing the overall picture. And I was trying to learn the way I did on Broadway when I stood on stage. How does everything work here? How does it all come together? I think doing background work and seeing the bigger picture and seeing the collaborative energy of all these creatives in different capacities coming together to make this art was what did it for me. It happened fast. And then I started booking. I'm like, this is cool. This is fun. These are great moments. I don't know what you guys like to watch or what you're into. You know, as Leah was kind of mentioned, I've done a little bit of everything from huge video games and motion capture to feature films to driving through cornfields. Favorite things. I love my job, man. There's little favorite things for different reasons. a few years back, just before pandemic hit, unfortunately, we were doing a motion capture project on an installation piece that was going to be at a museum in Chicago. We were literally reenacting into a three-dimensional experience the Martin Luther King Jr. speech and the walk, the march, and everything that we did in that volume with the extraordinary people that were helping us recreate these moments, and watching the videos and hearing the voice and meeting these people who stood up for something and stepping in their shoes was one of the more gravitas experiences that I had. I think it was the Dusseldorf Art Museum in Chicago. So that was phenomenal and very much an honor. But you know, the stupid stuff like getting lit on fire and driving through cornfields, or working with certain actors and just having these moments where it's like you believe you're in this environment with them. You just suddenly, like, everyone is so committed and painted such a perfect scenario for you to feel like you're having this life experience. I think those are always the most favorite to me. I love this answer because it kind of doesn't have one. I'm the youngest of three girls in my family. We're a lower middle class family. It wasn't like we were privileged and like my parents threw us into everything and I figured out that way. It was just one day, I don't know if any of you guys went to Coventry or Roxbury. I'm not sure which one it happened at, but somebody came in with 100 instruments and played each and every one of them for us to let us know what they sounded like and see if we wanted to start taking classes. And they picked up a flute and that was it. I was like, I want to do that. I don't know where it came from. I couldn't tell you what it was about music, but music had me. Music got me. That kind of storytelling. I was actually kind of shy. So music was my way of expressing things, you know, like just right away I heard it and I was like, oh, I like that. I guess in the same way all of you guys find things that you love to do, right? You see something like, oh shit, I want that experience, you know? But for me, it just happened really early and really organically. Much like everything. I mean, I've done some weird stuff in my career. If I had stopped and thought about them before I did them, I would probably tell myself, you're an idiot, don't do that. But something inside of me told me that I knew what I was doing and I was in good hands, and that I was smart enough to figure out with my own deductive reasoning and critical thinking how to get it done, and that I would enjoy it. So I just kind of follow my gut, you know? I don't know if that answers the question at all, because I think you all had that thing inside of you too. You're like, I really want to do this thing. Why can't you? Really, truly, why can't you? To be honest, with some exceptions along the way, like Dr. Bain back at Heights High School, who helped me then, and with one of my educators at the Eastman School, I have really been quite independent in everything that I've accomplished. I've had a few hands in giving me a job here and there, but no mentor since then. And I'm saying this not to brag on, you know, look what I accomplished, look how awesome it is, not at all. But look at what I accomplished with no help. As a mixed brown girl from a lower middle class family from Cleveland, Ohio. So if you have a support system of your family to keep you grounded, people you can call when you need to talk things through who will listen actively, not just listen with the intent of responding or changing your mind, but to validate how you're feeling and your worries and help you make decisions for yourself. That is everything, absolutely everything. Even today, I can't say that I necessarily have a great network of mentors, but I do have colleagues that I know are there for me. And likewise, we're just in very different paths and different parts of our journeys. So ultimately, you really got to rely on you. You really got to figure out what makes you tick, what your limitations are, what your boundaries are, and just be unflappable about all of that, truly. You know, for me personally, I can tell you 100% that the education I received from the Eastman School of Music is apropos to what I'm doing right now. I use every bit of every education that I've ever received, right down to being homeless on the streets of New York. Education is education. Is it necessary to have an education on paper to become an actor? No, we take people walking straight out of prison who want to be actors and they commit to it. So if you are thinking about it, the best thing you could do is to start studying. Study acting. It might seem that acting is pretending, There is a huge difference between pretending and acting. Acting is the skill of believing every nuance of your decision-making in your environment is real, and there is risk with that and accountability with that. So the more you use it, the better it gets. Start using it now, start cultivating those skill sets, and then start putting yourself out there and working, doing some work. Does it bring you joy? Does it excite you, the idea of it? Do you see the possibility there? Do you find yourself in, when you think about it within your mind's eye and you hold it, does it bring you happiness? Do you like what you feel and see when you think about that opportunity? That's an open door. Now, a lot of open doors will seem good, but feel bad. That's because of the people that are opening them. And that's where you're going to have to use your judgment and use your boundaries and teach people how to treat you. If it feels bad, even though it sounds great, it might not be the right opportunity and the right door. Into this new world, I'm going to tell you real talk right now. Along with the compliment of you guys choosing me for the Alumni Association induction ceremony, I was terrified because of the timing of it. This pandemic has been devastating on a lot of us out here in Hollywood, the ones that are not famous names that you don't hear about, because we have careers too. And that pandemic put a big old pause button for more than a year now. We're still not back to work the way that we usually are. And it's terrifying to stand in front of people that I want to believe in themselves. I want you to feel so capable and so empowered in your faith moving forward in your dreams and aspirations that you're just unflappable. Be scared, that's fine. Yeah, it's terrifying because you've never done it before, but still try it. Knowing that things were not perfect in my world and having to say these things to you was a bit of a dichotomy. It was a bit of a fight inside of me. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean every word of it. There's no reason why I was able to do the things that I do. I didn't know anybody. No one taught me. I just went where the sun was shining, you know, where my joy was illuminated, and figured it out from there. But I did it by talking to people. I did it by learning, you know, learning what to do is just as important as what not to do. There's no difference between me and you guys. Hopefully you have better family nucleus and more support system than I do, for more people, you know, to rally around you. That would be great. But you don't know if you don't try. Nobody owes you anything. If you want something and you feel that you deserve it, you show them that you do by pursuing it. When one door says no, you move to the next. There's always another opportunity into that room. There's always, and if you can't find an opportunity into the room you think you want, create your own. Find a way to create your opportunities. There's a way. There's so much abundance out there. It's just a matter of finding the right opportunity through the right vehicle and then applying it, and not being scared to jump when that door opens. And that applies to everything. That's not an actor talk. That's a life talk. I've seen miracles happen. I've seen people who were told there's no way in the world they'll ever accomplish anything. They didn't have privilege enough. They were the wrong color. They were the wrong sex. They were the wrong whatever it was. And they slayed. They absolutely killed it. Be willing to change, guys. Roll with the punches. When things change, you change with them. Don't get so locked onto something you want so bad that you're not willing to bend a little bit if you have to. You know, like when a pandemic hits, or when a world catastrophe happens, or if someone passes, or if you fall in love, and you have kids, whatever. Just, you know, keep focused on what ultimately brings you joy, and you owe it to yourself to give all your energy into that.